That sounds to me like an entrepreneurial streak.
Oh, maybe that's...
Yeah, I think so. I'm diagnosing you as an entrepreneur.
I was telling my parents last night that I was coming on this because I had dinner with them, and like we were talking about stuff, and like when I was at school, like I am dyslexic and I really struggled, but I always pushed for stuff. I always pushed to be in a higher set. I wanted to take triple science. They're like, you really shouldn't take triple science. And I was like, no, I want to take it.
Right.
I don't know why, but I've always had this belief that I want to push for more. And Sophie Robson reposted it, which was a mega deal.
Whoa, and that's huge.
And then sent me a message and goes, you really get high fashion and nails. I would love to employ you. And that's what really got the ball rolling. I just remembered.
Alice, what do you mean you just remembered? That's absolutely gigantically enormous detail. That's so incredible.
Yeah, that's why the house is quite an important story, because I do think I wouldn't have got to where I am now had I not made this leap and moved back to my hometown, left London, which was really, I didn't want to leave London. I loved living in London. But I thought, there's no way I can build something for myself being here with the cost of everything.
Welcome to In My Previous Life. I'm Jen Wakefield, and I used to be a primary school teacher, but I've since been a stand-up comedian, presenter and writer. In this podcast, we give you a chance to hear firsthand from people who have changed careers from one set pathway to a creative or purpose-led job role. This is not where you'll hear a rags to riches PR story like the ones you find in magazines, but a real, authentic take on what it's actually like to change lanes in your adult life.
I'm so happy to be joined by Alice McNails. Hello, Alice.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you on. So Alice, what were you in your previous life?
So in my previous life, I was a personal stylist for a big high store retail chain, and now I'm a nail artist.
Whoa, that is quite a change. And you're a full-time nail artist, that's your full-time business?
Yes, that's my full-time job. There's some other bits and pieces I do apart from just doing nails, but it's all like to do with nails.
Amazing. Okay, Alice, so you only have to go to Instagram to see how successful you are and to see your amazing business that you've grown. But I can't imagine that didn't come without an amazing story behind it. So, and although they are both in the world of kind of, fashion in a sense, they're very different. Yes. They're very, very different skills. So can you take us back to the beginning, to when you were in personal styling? Like, how did that come about for you?
So I went to university and I did fashion design. And I graduated in 2009 when it was like a massive recession, as we know. And there wasn't a lot of jobs around. And I did a lot of working for free and internships. And I fell into doing styling. Stylist assistant at some like big glossy magazines. The thing is, by the time I got there, which I think was like 2010, 2011, this is like when the industry was like really, really tanking, like, like magazines were folding left, right and centre, and, like they weren't selling the volumes they once were because of online.
Right.
So I ended up sidestepping into working for a big retail chain. Like it was a really like the top one. the top one. Can you guess which one it was? But because it paid so much better, like they wanted people at the magazines on short contracts, paying them abysmal money. Like I don't know how I was managing, but I tell you how I was managing to live in London. I was getting gifts at PR events and selling them on eBay to bolster my income.
No way.
Yeah.
So because they were literally paying peanuts, you had to be so creative.
They had us, all the assistants they had on apprentice wages, but we were doing like 50+ hour weeks, like long days with dealing with samples that were worth thousands. I was dealing with bags that were worth 100,000 and stuff for shoots. Lots of responsibility, but I sort of saw this chance to get into personal shopping, and it looked quite glamorous at the time, and the Instagrams looked beautiful, all these cool outfits and stuff, and I thought and it paid so much more than what I was getting. It was just very, very tempting. So I got into that, but obviously it was very different to working in a high fashion environment.
Yeah, so this is where, you've gone from working in high fashion but not being paid very much,
yes,
to working in high street fashion but being paid more.
Yes.
Which is very contrary to what you think.
Exactly, yeah. There is strange workings to how these things are. But initially the job sounded really good, like it was going to be very creative, but I'm sure anyone who's worked in retail know that it's all about chasing figures, which is very, very not me, basically. And it was, the thing is, like, this is a luxury service, which normally goes with a luxury price tag. So, like, obviously Harrods and Selfridges offer this service where you've got people spending vast amounts of money on clothes. For the high street, it was kind of something that people just wanted to do once for fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't really what the customer were looking for. So it was a lot of trying to chase these figures that were just unattainable, and a lot of stress. And it just wasn't the job I thought it was going to be. But I still ended up doing it for nearly 3 years.
Wow. Okay, so so it was a salaried job, but it came with targets. Could you earn commission as well?
No commission.
Oh, it just the targets were just built in as part of your job.
And also every year they'd want to make them higher. And the thing is, high street stores, like the magazines from the same thing as the internet, are on the decline. So obviously their sales in the stores are going to be going down, not up. But they still want to put those targets up every year.
Gosh. Okay, so in terms of like the target element, Alice, did that change how motivated you felt in the role?
Yeah, do you know, for some people, monetary targets really, really motivates them. For me, it just doesn't motivate me. And it just wasn't the job for me. It just didn't have the creative element. But what sort of brought me to doing nails, though, is I always will push for more in any job. It's just something I do. I guess I can be a bit pushy. And I sort of convinced my boss to let me run these pop-up beauty things.
Ooh.
Because I needed something else. I was like, I need something else. This isn't creative enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm not figure-driven. I'm not getting to style as much as I want. I need something else.
Yeah.
So he agreed that every month I could find some beauty professional to come in and do like a pop-up to try and drive people into the store. And the thing is, sorry.
No.
Am I going too fast?
No, this is great because I just suddenly had like a wizard finger moment where I was like, magic.
Yeah.
Something that just struck me about you, Alice, is that you said it very, very quickly, is I managed to convince my boss to let me run these pop-ups to have people in, which is, again, quite like something that you're probably used to just thinking about as something that's quite normal, but convincing a boss to allow you to do something creative in a role that is so fixed is actually quite big.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just hone in on that for a second, because that sounds to me like an entrepreneurial streak.
Oh, maybe that's...
Yeah, I think so. I'm diagnosing you as an entrepreneur.
I was telling my parents last night that I was coming on this because I had dinner with them, and like we were talking about stuff, and like when I was at school, like I am dyslexic and I really struggled, but I always pushed for stuff. I always pushed to be in a higher set. I wanted to take triple science. They're like, you really shouldn't take triple science. And I was like, no, I want to take it.
Right.
I don't know why, but I've always had this belief that I want to push for more.
Push for more. Is that, yeah. So I think that is a bit entrepreneurial though, because it's kind of like saying, all this that you're giving me.
Yeah.
I can see what you're giving me, but I've got an idea of where I need to be going. So I'm going to guide myself. I'm not going to let others guide me.
Yeah,
that's how it feels.
Totally.
And so you, when you convinced your boss to do this, did you have a good relationship with your boss?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay, so I'm guessing you're on the good side at this point.
We kind of loved to hate each other a bit, I think. But I think he could see in me that I wanted to push for things, and I made things happen.
Just not targets.
I didn't make money happen, but like I made cool things happen that we could stick on Instagram, which probably did make targets
so
happen.
hang on. So was this something you were bringing already to the role?
Yes.
You were bringing a lot of the visual side.
Yes. And so like I would, like, apart from doing these pop-up events, I then sort of went on to pushing to do other events. I did one at Hoxton Hotel for menswear, and I did one at this really cute restaurant called Dicky Fizz, which isn't there anymore, in Fitzrovia.
Ooh.
The things great. I did, I don't know why they didn't promote me at that place and get me in head office. Honestly, I don't understand why.
But it sounds, but I don't. I mean, I'm glad they didn't in a way, because I like the pathway that you're following. But it sounds that you're carving out something for yourself, that you're like, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to kind of carve it for myself because it's not there, but I can make some of this work for me. And so you've obviously been doing that in terms of the Instagram posts and in terms of making things visual and visually pop for them. That's like a free add-on service in a way.
Exactly.
And so you've already been doing that. And then you've been doing a good enough job that you convince your boss to run these pop-ups. So yeah, talk about the pop-ups.
So I suppose like what I should caveat this with is like I'd previously had trained to do nails before this point, right?
Oh, okay.
So this is going going back in time
that's
a
fine.
little bit.
No, that's great. That's great.
So when I first got into nails was when War Nails opened. I don't know if you remember War Nails.
I loved War Nails. Yeah.
And I saw them put leopard print on nails, and I thought, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I also happened at the time to live down the road from where the first War Nails in Dalston opened.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was Hackney way, wasn't it? Yes, yeah.
So I watched that whole thing happen, but like when it opened, I was still a student on like a poor income. So I just started painting my own nails from then, using whatever I could get hold of. Paints, I was using eyeliner, all kinds of weird stuff.
Wow.
And that's where my nail journey sort of started. I then did an evening course to qualify. So I did my diploma in nails at Walthamstow College.
Oh.
I think while I was still working at the magazines.
Right, so you were studying for nails whilst you were at the magazine bit before the retail section.
Before the retail, yes. Sorry,
okay.
It gets a little bit confusing.
No, it's fine. I mean, the squigglier the journey, the better.
Me and nails have had like a love affair for, I don't know, like about 17 years.
You dated nails.
Yeah,
I dated nails at college.
We were on and off for quite a while.
Yeah, but your genesis of the nail journey was when you were kind of doing the internships.
Yes.
And so you did that in the evenings?
Yes, I did.
Whilst you're working those 50-hour weeks?
Yeah. So I would go. So I think this course was like 8 months or something. So it wasn't a full year, and it was on a Thursday evening. And I would like after work, I'd like go straight up to my little evening course, do the nails, and this was in the day of Tumblr. I would paint things on my nails and post them on Tumblr, and I would paint my friend's nails. And my boyfriend at the time, I used to do his nails as well.
Oh wow, that's so good that you had someone to practice on.
And bless him, he came in for me when I had to do like an assessment on acrylic nails, and he had a full set of acrylic nails.
I mean, I don't my cap to this person. That's brilliant.
He was good.
And this was every Thursday, Alice.
Yeah.
So once a week for a year.
The best part of a year. I think it was 7 or 8 months. Obviously, it's quite a long time ago now for me to remember.
Yeah, the exact time.
But I remember like it was like 7 to 9 p.m. It was only like 2 hours every evening, but obviously you had to do some additional stuff here and there. But yeah, that was my first start in nails, and I started a little blog called Peachy Keen Nails.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you had a blog and everything after this, and this is also kind of following through from your inspiration from War Nails as well.
Yes.
So you've studied by now. You then have your blog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're thinking. Were you thinking at that point you wanted to do other people's nails?
Well, the reason I think, do I want to do other people's nails? I think so. Like I've always enjoyed chatting to people and like hanging out and stuff. So for me, like it's just an absolute dream career. Just get to gossip all day. But why I like got into did that course initially? I just keep remembering things. I'm like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
There was this big nail artist called Sophie Robson at the time, and she was like Kate Moss's like nail artist, and she was one of the only sort of big nail artists, high fashion ones around at the time, because obviously it was very, 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 very niche back then.
Yeah.
And I remember I was posting things on Twitter. Or X, formerly known as Twitter, sorry. Get
it right, Alice, come on.
But I did these Miu Miu nails because I was working at Elle magazine. I don't remember if you remember the Miu Miu shoes. They were pink and they had big like gemstones on the front, and they had like black swallow print, and oh my God, they were just the dreamiest shoes
It rings
ever.
a bell. I probably wasn't. I was probably like marking English books at this time, so I don't know.
I hit you as much as me.
I don't know. I probably wasn't reading. Didn't have the time to read magazines.
I just remember like those were like the dream shoes. But I did these really janky acrylic nails on myself, and I painted that design probably with eyeliner, and had all these big gemstones, and I posted that onto Twitter, and Sophie Robson reposted it, which was a mega deal.
Whoa, and that's huge.
And then sent me a message and goes, you really get high fashion in nails. I would love to employ you. And that's what really got the ball rolling. I just remembered.
Alice, what do you mean you just remembered? That's absolutely gigantically enormous detail. That's so incredible.
Yeah.
How did you feel in that moment then when she retweeted you?
I was ecstatic because I was like, oh my God. And that's when I first thought, like this could be a career, and this must have been in like 2010, I think. But like, I was like, this could go on, and maybe this could be my career. It did actually take another like 10 years pretty much until it did. But
It was that validation.
From then on, I had my toe dipped in nails throughout that whole time, basically, and that's what spurred me on to do that course.
Okay, so the nails when you did this design, the Miu Miu design.
Yeah.
And you did you put it on the blog or did you just put that on Twitter?
I was on the blog and Twitter.
On the blog and Twitter, okay. And so that was prior to the course, was that as well?
Yes.
Okay, so her retweeting you was that kind of permission slip in a way sometimes that you need to yourself to go, by the way, I'm giving you enough validation to say you've got talent. And so that's what set you on this journey.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that just made me think, oh, this could be a career, this could be a job. This isn't just fun, this could be a job.
But that year, what year was that?
I think it was 2010, I'm going to say.
2010, I agree with you. It wasn't a time when Instagram was around
I think
then.
Instagram had literally not been around that. I should have probably looked up some of these things written.
No,
not
at all.
I think, do you know what? I don't think I had Instagram until 2012 or 2011.
Yes, so I had it in 2013.
I think it might be in the year before.
Right, so so this is because that's how I envision your business now. But this is prior to all of that, and so you have had nails running alongside your main job at this stage, right?
Yeah.
So you're working in this is great. So we know you've got your toe dipped in nails, and I love the toe dipped analogy. It's great. And we know that you've got this kind of quite big validation in a way from this retweet. So that's the kind of like, if it were me, I'd feel like I had like a little medal that I was holding close to my chest. And that you could.
Oh, definitely.
You're saving.
No, I remember being so chuffed to get that message. I was like,
yeah, that's huge. But then, so let's go back to when you were talking about the pop-ups. Because that's where I picture us.
Sorry.
And that's what my wizard's finger came
You can actually remind me because I will just go off on tangents.
I'm very happy for these journeys, Alice. So no, this is great. So let's talk about the pop-ups then.
So I just started looking up beauty people. We had Instagram then, so it was very easy for you to find people. I initially got in these amazing henna girls to come and do henna. That one was really popular. We then had Duck and Dry come in and do blow dries. They came in a couple of times. And then I was trying to find a nails one because obviously nails is something that's I was still interested in because I was sort of still doing nails a little bit on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is quite funny. I went on a Tinder date with this guy. And I told him about my nail stuff. And he said, oh, you should talk to my friend. She does this monthly subscription box called Me Box, where they send you out nail polish in a subscription.
Oh, wow.
And it was quite a new thing then. I think Glossy Box was around. But,
I thought Grace was the first subscription box. Again, food-led. But I was on a food-led person. I didn't realise until beauty was a subscription service till much later. That's quite progressive.
Yeah. So I remember he gave me her email or her number, and I messaged her and I met up with her. And we got on really, really well, and that was one of the first events I did, actually, I remember now, was with her in this Me Box. And because we had this beautiful studio in the flagship store that we could host events in. And
this is in Oxford Street.
Yeah. And we did this Me Box event, and it was great because they organised bringing in some nail techs to do some nails. We invited all our clients and other people off the Instagram. We had this beautiful big event, and it was lovely, and it was all thanks to this boy on Tinder.
Good old Tinder, great for careers.
Yes, it's the perfect network.
Perfect networking tool. I mean, I'm sure it has been a great networking tool for many people in many ways. So it strikes me, Alice, as a time when you were obviously meeting a lot of contacts and people who would perhaps be, useful to know in your nail business.
Yeah.
But also, it sounds to me like you're starting to really understand the business side of things.
Yes.
Through your work with this high street retailer. And did that continue to go on? Did you continue to build those relationships?
I just think networking is so important. I feel like I'm always doing sort of networking. It's not like I'm trying to get things out of people, but I love chatting to people, building connections. But I think what I learned with doing these pop-ups it gave me the confidence to go and do it myself.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Because the pop-ups were almost like a mini experience for you, not only just for you to be able to organise these events, but to actually get these different people in and see how you can work with different people.
Exactly. And I suppose because I had the confidence, I had the backing of like a big name behind me, like I could reach out to people and be like, hey, I work for blah blah and this. But you know, I don't know, like I definitely think I was able to take like a lot of that with me and think, well, I can probably just do this like for myself, or like I learned a lot in that job, even though for a long time I hated that job. I think I owe it a lot because I did take a lot of that with me.
Yeah, absolutely. But like knowing that something isn't right for you, you knew the job wasn't right for you and that role, and so perhaps that's the bit you hated.
Yeah.
But the actual skills you were developing and the ones you were able to use, it sounds like you developed a lot of skills, like being able to manage these events, run these events, get the right people in, and the networking. It sounds like something you've got because you're a people person, Alice, and something probably you're using in your day-to-day life now. Networking is probably quite natural to you, so you were actually probably thriving in that area, and that's where it was growing, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
So it taught you the things that you enjoyed, and the skills you wanted, that were sticky skills that would stick to you, and the ones that would you could like chuck away, right?
Yeah. Well, it just made me realise like what I actually like doing and what I actually love, which is.
Can I ask you, is there a feeling that you got in any of these moments where you know, can you describe it as a feeling at all? That you had in terms of knowing the difference between how you were experiencing your day to day?
Well, if I was just doing my regular day where I was just like had a few appointments for doing styling and then the rest of the time I was trying to go around the shop floor trying to bloody like drag people in, which isn't very glamorous. But if I had an event to work on, I felt excited about that. I felt motivated. You know, like that was what I enjoyed doing. Like I love doing events, and I think if I wasn't doing nails and running my own business, I think I would have loved to have gone and worked in events, because I honestly think that's where my passion is.
That's so interesting. Is that something? That's something we can come on to later, because I think that
stick a pin in that.
Let's stick a pin in that, because you know it's actually nice to also look forwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, all right, Alice, you're 3 years into this high street retail role. Let's say we're at this point, right? And you've had a lot of experience of bringing your own skills into it by organising the pop-ups. And this was your idea, right?
Yeah.
So that's quite massive as well, because this is a huge high street store in central London, flagship. I myself remember as a young girl going along to that store and going to use like the different like counters and the different kind of pop-ups within the store.
I must say that when I was doing these pop-ups, so I worked at 2 of these high street chains.
Right, okay.
The ones I was doing the pop-up at was the second one.
Okay.
I think you're thinking of the first one.
I'm probably thinking of the first one. But, okay, you know, that's fine. So, yeah, in terms of accuracy, but not to discredit it, because it carries is a huge cultural stamp on fashion in the UK, the place that you worked at. And so that's quite massive. And I think when you're in it, maybe it doesn't feel massive, especially if you're comparing that to high fashion and also to what other people that you might know are doing, but to in the everyday kind of sort of swill of stories about what people are doing in their life, that is a big deal, Alice. So I think that also is starting to sort of show what kind of a person you are and how you might take that forwards into the next phase of what you did. So what was the next phase of what you did when you decided that job wasn't for you? Like, how did that look?
Well, I think for a long time I hadn't been enjoying the job, and I'd been pushing to do these events and stuff because that's what I was passionate about, but it made up a very small portion of what I did every day, which I was just dreading, and I just wasn't very happy.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time moaning to my friends about how much I hated my job, and I was like, I need to change this at some point. I was like, it was that thing where like, you never want to go to bed because you got to wake up and go to that job.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it got to that point and I was like, I just can't continue like this. And I really felt at that point I'd like pigeonholed myself. And I wasn't quite sure where I was going to move forward to. And I talked to lots of people like this, and lots of young people. It is a big feeling. People really do think they're pigeonholed and they're stuck and they can't go any further. And I really felt that. And I remember being very sort of stressed out by that.
Yeah.
I also went for this marketing role at the business I was working because I thought maybe I can move into head office. And this role came up for, they wanted, it was like they wanted people from different departments to apply for it because they wanted someone who already worked for the business to get this role.
Right.
And when I didn't get it, it just crushed me because I was so convinced I was going to get it.
Oh gosh, and also that was your route out as well. That was the only option out, maybe. So you probably felt like this is my chance.
Exactly. I remember when the girl came to tell me I hadn't got it. She literally came to tell me, and I just burst into tears because it wasn't just for me. It wasn't just going for this job. It was my escape. I was like, I'm going to escape this job I hate. And when that happened, that's when I didn't get that job and I burst into tears. I thought, it's more than that. So I was like, I need to get out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's your whole life. Think how many hours you spend at that job.
Yeah.
So for someone to come to you and say, by the way, this ain't your ticket out of here. that must have been a hard day.
But yeah, it was. But I think it just made me realise that these tears weren't so much about this job. It was about the fact that I felt stuck in the job I currently had. And I was living in London. I was spending a lot of money. I was living paycheck to paycheck, spending all my money on white wine.
As you do.
And Zara.
So familiar.
Exactly. And I was just like, God, I need to do something with my life.
Yeah. I mean, white wine and Zara, if that was a blog, I would have read that, Alice. So, that could have been one option.
It should be the title of my memoir.
But, okay, so you knew there was something you had to do. And so, is this where the nails came in again?
So I'd still been dabbling in nails this whole time, but it had slowed, and I was just sort of like doing friends' nails and things like that, and my own nails. And I wasn't like posting things not really on. I had an Alice Nails Instagram, but I had like 200 followers on it, and I didn't really sort of use it.
Yeah.
The thing is, a pinnacle moment to like this story was I was very, very fortunate, and I got a small bit of inheritance, which, I know like I'm very privileged to have that. But I was trying to rinse it in London on hen do's.
Hen do's will drain your money if there's nothing else.
I had a very fun summer and my mum was like, look, Alice, like, you can't just spend all this money on hen do's.
Yeah, fair. I think that's a good bit of advice.
And she was like, you hate your job. She was like, you need to think about buying a house. She was like, come on, like, you're nearly 30.
I mean, that's a baby these days.
Exactly.
So, I think you're ahead of the curve.
It is. Like my parents have always bought wreck houses and done them up. This is just like their passion thing.
Yeah.
And so my mum found this house that she thought I should buy, and it wasn't in London. It was in Eastbourne.
Okay, so you were living in Dalston still at this point?
No, I was living in East Dulwich.
So you were in East Dulwich at this point, and you were very much a Londoner.
I was very much a Londoner. Like, I lived with 3 other girls, and like we just had the best time. We were all single. It was great fun.
Yeah.
All that white wine, all that Zara.
And all that living it up in East Dulwich.
I was having a great time, but I think really like I wasn't enjoying my career, and I knew I had to do something about it. Like, I was just living for the fun times.
Yeah.
But my mum tricked me because I was like, Mum, I can't move back to Eastbourne. I'm still loving my London life. And she was like, you should come back here. You could like start your own business. So this is like, yeah, Mum getting in there, start your own business. I was like, what could that be? She's like, you could do something creative. I was like, could do something creative. I just got back from festival in September for a friend's 30th birthday. And the next morning, my mum woke me up, and I was obviously still recovering from this festival, as you can imagine. And she said, do you want to go see this house? And I was like, ugh. And she was like, I've got a viewing. Let's go see it.
Your mum is a real go-getter, isn't she?
She is.
So we're picturing Alice in this festival state. You've got the white wine hangover.
You've got the white wine.
And you're off to view a house.
Off to view a house.
Okay.
So she was like, it's an absolute steal. You've got to see it. So I'm going to see this house at like 10 in the morning. And I went in, and I just had the feel straight away. I was just like, it's like a Victorian terrace. And I was just like, oh my God. And it was on for an absolute steal. It was an absolute wreck. It hadn't been lived in
hence
for a while.
Steal.
Yeah, hence steal. Like, but it was brilliant, and it was next to the station and stuff. And then my mum was like, let's go get a bottle of Prosecco. And it's like 10.
She knows how to press all of the Alice buttons, doesn't she?
So we went to Wetherspoons, she gets a bottle of Prosecco, we're drinking that, and she goes, do you want to make an offer? And I was like, I don't know, maybe she goes, estate agents is opposite.
Your mum she's like an alchemist, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. But she made it happen, and it was for the best. A long story short, like, because I had my London wage, I had this small deposit, like I was able to secure this house, and my parents helped me build it up, and that takes me on to like the second stage, where I thought, maybe I should give nails a go. I had this feeling in the air, like nails, like I felt gone out a bit. Everyone was just having plain gel nails. I felt like the nail art thing that I'd done like in the early 2010s sort of disappeared, because it's like 2017 at this point.
Right. Yes.
But I had a real feeling that nail art was coming back. I could feel it in the air. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you are a tastemaker, Alice, and I'm sure that's how it happens, right? Tastemakers feel it in the air, and then. But you, whatever sense you've got, you had about it. There was something pulling you to do it.
There
right?
was. I had other ideas. I was thinking that I was going to do some sort of business where I did crafts for like hen do's and parties.
Okay.
Because I liked doing these little events, and I was trying to think how I could do like little local events. And then the nails thing just hit me one day, and I thought, nails.
And this is where, but I like this because everyone has their different kind of things that bring seminal moments to them. And I like that for you. It might not be a tangible thing, but it's a feeling. It sounds like a strong feeling you had. But maybe sometimes feelings come from all those experiences that have come, and also the secure place that you could, you had a secure footing. So maybe that also stabilised in your mind that now I've got this bit of security, I could take another risk.
Well, that was the thing. So I got the house, I did it up. I still was working my London job for a while until it was finished. And I was, paying for 2 houses, which was ridiculous.
Wow. So you were really working out your notice period.
I needed the income from my job to pay to do the house up.
Yeah.
And so I was paying for both basically, and which left me with very little white wine money.
Not good when you're stressed from renovating a house.
Exactly. But once it was done, I got 2 lodgers in.
Oh, that's clever.
That paid for the house.
Brilliant.
Basically, which allowed me to give up my job and pursue the nails thing. So,
Alice, you are clever, and that is really smart, because there are, in my early 30s, I wouldn't have been in that position. But I don't know I think giving up your space to share with other people is a really smart thing to do, and not something that everyone will do. So you've you've sacrificed some of your own space, basically privacy, whatever, to allow yourself to follow this path. So you've had a bit of a gut feeling, you've had some sacrifice, and you've worked hard on renovating this house by the sounds of it as well. So a lot of graft at this stage.
There was a lot of graft, but I sort of like that's why the house is quite an important story, because I do think that I wouldn't have got to where I am now had I not made this leap and moved back to my hometown, left London, which was really, I didn't want to leave London. I loved living in London, but I thought there's no way I can build something for myself. Being here with the cost of everything. So that's when I got back to Eastbourne and I started doing the nail stuff, and it all changed. Like, suddenly got all these different gel products and stuff, and one of the products I use the most is this gel extension system called like Gel X by Prey, and that's what really got me back into nails, because I always didn't really like doing acrylics. Like, I found it quite hard to do, and I hated the smell. And this new product had launched in America, and I remember ordering it from America to England. I was so excited by it, and I think that really got my interest. Sparked something, my interest.
In terms of when you went to order that, was that being widely used in the UK, or was that something that was quite new?
It was very new.
So that's again another tastemaker element to you, Alice, where you're going, I sniff that this is going to be big, and I'm going to bring it over. So that's again entrepreneurial streak.
Thank you.
So you've got this new nail technology, can I say?
It was new nail technology. Like, it was great. It was a way of doing extensions really quickly, that looked really good, because they're thin, they're lightweight. You don't have to prep the nail as much. They don't smell, and I love them. I still use it now. It's a brilliant product. But that really just got me back into doing the nails and the nail art, and I started posting on the Instagram, Got my dad to make me some business cards because my dad's a graphic designer, so
Brilliant.
did my logo and stuff.
Using the people around your network.
Exactly. So I was like, Dad, I need a new logo, new direction for the business. And that's why I named myself Alice McNails. And I can't remember why that came to me. It's because I'd always been just Alice McComb Nails, and I just thought, I need to like shorten this a bit, make it a bit more
snappy.
Yeah. And I've always been a big fan of McDonald's. And
yeah. So you never know one day that could very much come into
anyone that knows me knows I'm a big fan of McDonald's. But yeah, so that's how Alice McNails thing came
It's
about.
smart, and it's you building your brand.
Yeah.
It's really smart. So yeah, that makes sense. And at this point, Alice, you built a studio in your house?
No. So I was working out of my living room because obviously my dining room was a lodger room.
Got it.
The other upstairs bedroom was a lodger room, and then I had a bedroom. And so I had a little table in the living room in the little corner where I would do the nails from.
And you were getting independent bookings, or was it just word of mouth?
So I started just doing my nails on my friends, and one of like my best friends, Lara, and we weren't even as close then, but she came to me for nails. And she would sit with me for hours while I tried to do these nails, because obviously like I hadn't done it in a while.
Yeah.
And, doing extensions was quite a new thing. So bless her, like she would sit with me for 3 or 4 hours while I did her nails. But what I saw come up on Instagram is I saw a salon in Brighton was looking for a nail tech.
Right.
And I thought, do you know what? I need some salon experience. Like I've never actually worked in a salon.
Yeah.
And although I'm qualified, there's still much I can learn.
Yeah.
So I messaged this woman, Lily, on Instagram when I see her job opening at Velvet Nails in Brighton. And I said, look, like I am qualified to do nails, but I haven't, it's been a long time. And this is my Instagram and I love doing nail art, but I said, I will be really slow. And she was just like, yeah, no, come for an interview. Like, I'd love to meet you. And
good old Lily.
Yeah, good old Lily. She's great. And it just went from there. And that was. I loved working at that salon. I worked there for I think a year and a half. And
was this 5 days a week as well?
I think I started at 3 or 4 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot of hours in a salon. And do you think that salon experience was essential for you to be the nail artist you are now?
Oh, definitely. Like,
Right.
I think it's very important to work in a salon because they're fast-paced environments. You've got other people there that are much more knowledgeable that you can learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like it just gives you more confidence knowing that there's someone there if something goes wrong that can
Right.
help you. And I learned so much from Lily. Lily's been doing nails like for a very, very long time, and she knows everything. So it was great, and I really enjoyed going over to Brighton every day. Like I used to get the bus. It's like about an hour from Eastbourne on the bus, but the bus would stop right outside near the nail salon and stuff. And,
Perfect.
I really enjoyed going over there and being part of like this little team. It was really nice.
Yeah, and also Brighton is quite a buzzy place because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Alice, but I feel sometimes when I'm in a creative headspace, I like to be somewhere where it feels a bit buzzy and aspirational and creative.
Yeah. No, I do. I feed off that stuff. I need it too. Yeah.
And I think that's important. So it sounds like that was a good, like a kind of coming together of recipe of different things that were good for you at that moment.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think because I'd moved from London to this like small little coastal town, and for me being able to get over to Brighton and be a bit more of a buzz, like I sort of felt like I was still getting a little bit of that cosmopolitan lifestyle.
Yeah, precisely. But you found that for yourself again. Like, I think there are people who sometimes go into something creative and they want to go it alone, or it's hard. The idea of going into that environment is quite scary. But props to you for being brave and going, right, I need to be in a salon. I need to get this proper experience. Did you ever have imposter syndrome while you were there?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I still remember. So I started off as a sort of junior apprentice, and I was just getting £50 a day.
Okay,
Right,
wow.
so it was
Okay, so but you had experience living on your white wine Zara money in London, or not very much. So
yeah, exactly. But
but that's not a lot.
and I remember doing my first gel manicure on someone, and I remember having the shakes so badly, like the shaky hand.
Oh. I mean, but that's to me that's a necessary part of the path, isn't it? And also it does strike me, that you have, coming back to the finance thing, you do learn to live. I think some people have said this. You kind of learn to live on little in certain creative industries, right? When you're starting out, a lot of people have to, because that's how you start. You have to do things for free. So that's hard. That's a hard part of the journey as well.
I feel like I've done that so many times where I've either worked for free or I've been on such little money. I'm very used to being very frugal, basically.
Yeah, but that's one of my top tips, I think, for people, is that, you know, having done career changes myself, and when I left primary teaching, my salary halved, and I also, you know, went to live and rented a really cheap room in Camden, like had to try and do everything really cheaply.
Yeah.
But the frugality element was great because I actually learned to value money in a way that I didn't before, and not to romanticize not having money, just that it taught me a lot, and I felt like it got me to be frugal in areas I cared less about, so that I learned to really savour the areas I did.
It is a great skill to have.
Yeah.
And, you know, like now sometimes I can't believe it when I go in Boots and I think, God, I could buy whatever I want. Like, because I remember when I couldn't buy anything. Like, you know, I'd be using, like, you know, the very end of foundation and scooping it out and stuff. And now I'm just like, I can buy whatever foundation I want.
What a sweet feeling. But this is great because, so I think this brings us nicely into like how the business part now and what you're doing now, because you were doing that 3 or 4 days a week, and then were you able to sort of reduce that down eventually, or how did that go?
I really wanted to do the nail art. Like, I like doing nails, but for me, my passion is doing the actual hand painting on nails and making fun, creative sets.
And was War Nails still going at this stage as well?
Oh, because they moved into Topshop Oxford Circus, and they moved out, and then they had somewhere in Soho, and I think they might have closed in 2017.
So this is around the time that you were sort of starting up again. That's interesting.
They did, I think. But I do believe all the different artists from there dispersed and were doing their own thing in London and stuff. I was still following them all. So it's true. Actually, I should look that up. It is a bit funny because, like, when I thought nail art was coming back, they were closing, which is a really interesting point, actually.
Interesting, but also amazing. And also that you weren't in like a big hub like London as well. You know, that you built something, that you were going on to build something in a coastal town.
Well, I think because I was going over to Brighton. And so I started like doing the nail art, posting on my Instagram, and then I started painting nail art samples and like hanging them in the window at the shop, trying to entice people in.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and bit by bit, I sort of would convince people to have nail art, and it just started building in Brighton. People word of mouth more than anything, and you know, me posting on my Instagram. But like a real big moment is I had an influencer come and have her nails done by me, called Sophie Floyd. She's Brighton based, and for me, like, me doing her nails just made it sort of all blow up, really. Like,
because she reposted it.
Yeah, basically. Wow. So,
and the fact that you did a great job.
Power of an influencer.
But people say, you know, with luck or different things, people say is that preparation and hard work meets the opportunity at the right time, and so that really elevated your Instagram.
Yeah, it really elevated my Instagram, and you know, from that moment. But you know, she'd seen my work through other people posting it.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was doing these nails where I used like a lot of this, these gold decals. I used all this religious stuff. I used lots of pinks and purples. And I think I got really known for doing that sort of style.
Yeah.
But after that, I was getting solid loads of bookings. So I started gradually moving my bookings to Eastbourne, where I just started working my days down. So like I was doing 4 days at Velvet Nails, and then I went to like 3, then to 2, then to 1, while I built my client base in Eastbourne. And for like the first year of working in Eastbourne, like majority of my clients were coming over from Brighton to Eastbourne.
Well, that shows what a like impressive brand you've built, and also the fact that you kind of in a niche, in the sense that it's like only Alice can do this for me in the way that I want to be done.
Well, yeah, because there wasn't at the time in Brighton, there was no one else doing nail art.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, now there's loads of people, but back then there wasn't really anyone.
Yeah.
I had people even coming from London to me to have their nails done, even though there were people in London doing nail art at the time. But
your social media, I must say, Alice, like if you check out Alice McNails, your social media is really impressive and consistent, and clearly something that you've always had throughout, you know, from when your career started, that you brought through that as your kind of business mind strategy, and something it is creative and something that you obviously love doing. It comes through, and it really does everything. Of course it does, because you're very busy now, right? You're always booked up, and so now in your day, what, like, we've got maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, Alice. What's your day-to-day life like now is the first bit, and how and what is it that you like now in comparison to before?
God, I still now like wake up and I think, God, I'm so happy with what I do. Like when I think about how unhappy I used to wake up feeling in my old job, like I love what I do now, and it is kind of quite varied. I do nails on real people. I've also made press-on nails. I had like a press-on nail collab that I did in lockdown, which was really big. And I also, the newer thing I do now is I do teaching. So I teach others to do nails, which is online and in person. And this is something that I definitely want to push more. So I'm dabbling with the idea of maybe getting in a junior or an assistant or someone to train up.
Oh,
in
exciting.
The future, so that will allow me more time to work on the educational side.
So you're actually becoming more of an educator, an educator. That's amazing, Alice.
I just think it's a natural progression, is to sort of move on to educating others. And I love teaching. I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, and you clearly love people. And I think it's obviously the nail art, but the people element that keeps you loving what you do as well, right?
No, definitely.
So, for me, Alice, I feel like you were an entrepreneur from early on, and it sounds like you very much convinced people to do things that you knew you could do really well, and that would bring business in and would be good for them too. And you've done that, and so that's kind of quite magic about you, and I think it comes through in your work as well.
Oh, nice.
There's a big element of magic. But so yeah, I would say that's my assumption of what I would say, you bring from your old life to now. But have you got anything that you think that you brought from those days, whether it's a lesson, whether it's a skill from your previous life to now?
I think from my previous job, I think just to keep pushing forward and to like have confidence in my own ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to be a creative, and I've always for me, I always want to be working on something new, another creative idea. And I think being at the retail job just really made me realise that I can do this, and I've got the ability to do this.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And would you do anything differently if you could do it all again? Is there anything you would do differently?
God, would I do anything differently? I kind of wish I'd left my job sooner, really, because I think I wasn't happy there for a long time, and I think I should have got out sooner. I don't think I needed to punish myself as long as I did. But I don't know, maybe this was all sort of part of the journey. Like I do like to live my life with like no regrets, really. Like I don't really like to dwell on things. I just think that all of this is part of like the rich tapestry that makes me who I am and the business I've built.
Yeah. So really it's no looking back.
Yeah, always look forward.
Always look forward. I love that. Thanks so much, Alice.
You're welcome.
It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much for having me.